He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. My name is Jay, and people know me as a Sales Ninja. Went from being a former introvert and evangelist, pastor, preacher, man of faith, to becoming a seven-figure sales ninja. And I'm here to help you to sell more, to give more. Today, we have an exciting guest, Nick Ross's Resilience Blueprint, where he's going to teach us how to transform adversity into $100 million plus success. He is an 8-figure sales coach. He is the owner and sales coach of Close One Academy. And Nick has coached over 1,000 clients and sales associates over his career, helping create systems and processes to create sustainable and profitable businesses. Over 20 years of sales experience, Nick has helped create multiple million-dollar generating businesses in 3 different industries. During Nick's battle with cancer at the age of 32, he discovered a transformative algorithm for success. Leveraging Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP, methodologies, he crafted a blueprint for rapid, radical, and enduring change, irrespective of life's challenges. In a remarkably brief span, Nick harnessed the power of fitness and nutrition to undergo a profound physical and financial transformation. And this journey has catapulted him into the realm of self-management, where the techniques and mindset strategies cultivated during the relentless fight on the chemo ward floor. So we're going to just invite Nick on this journey where he has taken adversity and became a catalyst for unprecedented personal growth and resilience, proving that no conditions in life are insurmountable. Nick's passion for serving others has led to motivational speaking, and he has spoken on the same stages as Jason Phillips, Alex and Layla, I hope I got that right, Hormozi, Ed Milet, Billie Jean, Sal and Adam from Mind Pump, Ryan Stewman, Mike Milner, and Rob Bailey. Let's go. Hey, Nick, welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. How are you doing?
Hey, Jay, thanks for having me. Thank you for that wonderful intro. Very excited to be here and talk about my favorite thing in the world, sales.
Amazing. So you have been on the stages with people that I read about that are mentors of mine. And this one was a favorite, Ed Milet with The Power of One More. Where did it all start? I mean, to become an 8-figure coach, to help, coach over 1,000 clients and help them grow into scale, into multi 7 figures and more is not, is not an easy feat by any feat of the imagination. So in your childhood, where did that journey begin? Where did that, were you good at school? Did you excel in sales as a young child? Where did it all begin?
Yeah, that's a great question. People have so many negative connotations around the word sales because most people have had really bad sales experience from really bad salespeople, right? Yeah. No one in the history of life, when they were a little kid, when they're like, "What do you want to be, little Johnny?" Did they say, "When I grow up, I want to be a sales guy"? No one ever says that, right? It's kind of we find our way into it. And I do believe that one of the greatest skill sets for a sales professional, especially when, training top 1% salespeople, is that you have to have very high EQ, emotional intelligence, and because you have to be able to read your room, sensory acuity, behavioral flexibility, and also just being emotionally stable. And so for me, I grew up with an alcoholic father, and I never knew how he was going to come home. I never knew in the state he would be in as a little kid. Was I going to get a whooping? Was my mom going to get hurt?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And you just kind of knew based upon how your father entered into the home when he got home from the bar or from home from work, you had to learn how to read the room. And I just think at a very young age, I just learned, not that I knew that then, but just using my senses to read the room, to read the person, to not, upset the person, to just have high emotional intelligence. And I just think that's something that's really served me my whole entire life. I also grew up on a horse farm for the first 19 years of my life, where you're around these massive animals that, if you're not careful, you can get kicked in the head, you can get bit, you could die, you get seriously hurt and maimed and injured. So my grandmother taught me something at a very young age, that you had to have soft eyes when you're around horses. And at our peak, we had about 20 horses on about a 75-acre horse farm. And I just had to have soft eyes when you're out in the field, when you're in the stall, when you're around these giant animals. Again, you have to read the room. You have to read even that animal's body language and posturing, and where their ears are, and what is their, animal facial expressions. Are they mad? Are they upset? Are they nervous? So I think those skill sets have just always been with me since 4 or 5 years old, and I didn't know it then, but I know it now as a trainer, that those are some of the most important aspects of influence, persuasion, and communication.
Amazing. You actually remind me of Ed Milet's story. A lot of what he was talking about, where with his alcoholic father, where he didn't know if he was going to get a whooping, he didn't know if he was going to, attack his mom, and all these chances, and that one time that his mom said, "This is the last chance," and she looked him in his dad in the eye, and Ed Milet's dad knew that she meant it this time, and he had a radical shift and radical transformation in his life. What were some of those, some of the people that go through these kinds of situations and stories with alcoholic fathers don't ever recover? How do you come out of a traumatic situation and come on top the way you did?
Well, as a kid, I just focused on sports. I knew that I played as many sports concurrently at the same time, year round, basically from the age of 6 till 18, and just got me off the farm, got me out of the house. I was traveling, I was practicing, I was playing games, never, realized it at the time either, but that helped with a lot of leadership skill sets, and always being a captain or assistant captain of the team, and just always stepping up, working through adversity, learning how to, play fair and be a teammate. So a lot of those things just helped me just take me out of some of the more neurotic situations that I was in, and some of the abandonment that I had felt as a child. Always kind of wondering why, your father loves a bottle more than he loves you. But I've none of those things happened to me. They all happened for me. I'm never viewed myself as a kid, you do, but as you grow up, and especially when you get through something like cancer, you truly realize that, all these quote unquote negative experiences in your life, they're not happening. I'm not a victim of them. I'm being rewarded. So much feedback that you can gain in what someone might name or deem a negative experience. And one of the things that I help my clients with and understand is that, and one of the things that NLP teaches us, Neuro-Linguistics Programming, is there's no such thing as a positive and negative experience. There's no such thing. The human being is the only organism on earth that says positive and negative. To all other creatures, it's just an experience. Experiences are not binary. They're not good and bad, and heaven and hell, and positive, negative, optimistic, pessimistic, half full, half empty. They're not. It's the human. You get to assign meaning and belief to that experience. Experiences are spectral. They're like a thermometer. There's varying degrees of that experience, and what might be hot to you might be cold to me, and vice versa, because the human condition is always different based upon our past experiences and our belief systems. And so, again, all of those things, and it took me I went 20 years without seeing my dad, not until recently that I really into some of those relationships. And still, he's still an alcoholic. I just every day I kind of wait for that phone call that your dad's passed, but I've made peace with it. And I thank him for teaching me what not to be as a man, and I'll always thank him at least for that.
My gosh, I am just so moved and impressed by your EQ and your character, because a lot of people have gone through what you've gone through. You're welcome. A lot of people that have gone through what you've gone through have that victim mentality, and rightfully so, because their lives have been ruined, their childhood has been robbed. Their sonship has been abandoned. Like these are not some light, topics of discussion by any means. I know some people, who have gone through a fraction of what you've gone through, and their lives are crippled because of it. So I'm just impressed and really inspired by your story. And I wanted to actually even move towards your health. Like cancer is such a crazy disease ailment. I don't know what you call it, but like I don't even understand it, and I don't know if anyone ever will. But was that genetically? How did you get cancer at such a young age?
Yeah, I'm not a doctor. I'll tell you what I've learned. Everyone's born with cancer cells inside of them. Every single person has cancer cells in them the day that they're born. It's just when those cancer cells choose to turn on in your lifestyle, you smoked, you drank, you're in the sun, you ate like crap. There's some like brain cancer that are really, they don't know why. I had testicular cancer. They don't understand why men get testicular cancer. There's not like a true cause and effect.
Really?
We can go down a crazy rabbit hole, and I can tell you that there's a compound called carbon-13 that is in every non-stick pan. If you ever look at a metal pan and there's scrapes in it, right? Well, where do you think that hard metal and that chemical goes? It's in anything that's wrinkle-free, stain-resistant. It's basically carbon that they compress, and carbon's like is in everything. It's one of the hardest molecules to destroy, but it's compound 13 times. That's why you get wrinkle-free, stain-free, and non-stick, right? Because right. And so I firmly believe that the combination of that and chemicals, again, I'm not trying to like be a tin hat conspiracy theory. There's a lot of data that researches backs this based upon companies like DuPont and 3M, that they were dumping these chemicals into water, and all of these boys at local schools started getting testicular cancer.
Oh my gosh.
But also I believe like the biggest cause of cancer for me, probably in particular, was stress. As you stated in the beginning, I've been in sales for 20 years now. I've been in sales since the day I graduated college. I graduated from college in Orlando, instantly moved to Hollywood, California. And like the second week I was there, I got a very prestigious job in the music industry. And I was in the music industry for 15 years, basically worked for one company for 15 years, and lived a rock and roll lifestyle. I lived a bachelor rock and roll lifestyle. And, I believe that God, the universe, the collective consciousness, whatever you identify and pray to, I believe that the universe is exacting at rewarding you for your worth. And so I've made peace with the fact that I got cancer as a sign that God put his hand around my neck and said, it's time to wake up, son. And because I was going down a path and a road of, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, that's just really what I can tell you, how I lived that life from the age of 20 to the age of 32. Smoked a pack of cigarettes, drank a bottle of Jameson, was always at a party, was always out at the next, CD release party or whatever it was. And so, I paid for my actions. And when I got out of the chemo ward floor, and I had a 50-50 shot at life, and if the chemo didn't work, I had an 8% chance of living. And so when I got out of that, I just made a promise to God. I surrendered really for the first time in my life, even as someone who was raised in Irish Catholic school for the majority of his life. That's the first time I really surrendered to God. And I just said, God, you give me a second chance at life, and I promise you I will use my few skill sets to help and serve other people. At that time, I had no idea how I was going to do it. I just knew that I would never break that promise. And after chemo was done, I just wanted to get healthy and fit because I had no hair. I was incredibly overweight because I had chemotherapy 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, every other week, a month. So I blew up from all the drugs and chemo and saline and liquids. And so I hired a nutrition coach. And 8 years later, I've never been a day I haven't worked with a nutrition and fitness coach. And then that led me into the industry that I'm at today. And I'm still that's how I've found my purpose and my path.
Oh my gosh. So you definitely beat the odds, 50-50 shot at life, 8% chance of living after chemo. 12 years you paid for your iniquities or your actions with drugs, sex, and rock and roll. That's so like, was it chemo and cancer that got you out of that lifestyle, or was it 12 years, before the cancer?
No, what truly got me out of that lifestyle is, I believe in what's called a communitarian approach to self-development. You're not going to really find much about this in your, your local Barnes and Noble self-help section. There, I believe the greatest way to self-development is not self-actualization, figuring out every bit and piece of yourself and correcting it and therapy. I truly believe that when you help other people get what they want, God will give you what you need. And since I've subscribed to that way of life, it has always come to fruition. I've always had faith in that. And the moment that radically transformed my life, it wasn't the surgery or the chemo or sitting on the chemo ward floor for basically 2 months, watching other people die in front of you and wondering, am I next? Is that going to be me at the age of 32? And living through all my regrets, living through all the mistakes, living through all of the people that I hurt and I was sorry for hurting. I wasn't working. My mom wasn't working because she was taking care of me. And we were broke at this point, and that like $100,000 of medical bills are coming in, even with insurance. It's crazy. So my mom just simply stated, like, you got to start a GoFundMe to help us out and help the family out. And, as a man, it's harder to ask for help than it is to ask for love. And I was a prideful man, type A man. I didn't want to ask for help, but my mom, raised me basically as a single. She did raise me as a single mother. I had to help her out. And so I started this GoFundMe, and within 48 hours, it raised more money than I'm ever comfortable sharing. And that's when I surrendered to God. Because at that point, my heart had fundamentally changed. Watching people I had been in fistfights with in high school. My high school principal, who I made his life a living hell. Anonymous people I didn't even know, people I hadn't talked to in 15, 20 years, donating money. And that kind of generosity, that's a communitarian, I viewed that moment as like those people investing in me like I was an IPO, right? And I owed it to them. In order for them to get their ROI, I had to become better. I wasn't going to continue to live that lifestyle with a second chance at life, especially after people had invested so much in my well-being and my future. That's what fundamentally changed my life and my behavior. A lot of the behavioral stuff got changed from my nutrition coach. Like, his name is Jeff Black. He's here in Nashville. He's one of the top nutrition coaches in the country. When you start changing your body and what you see in the mirror, you also start changing your mindset and your spirituality and your just your mental toughness. Like, it just starts to really kind of cascade and water flow into the other self-development parts that you can work on in your life.
Your story is incredible. It's a story of transformation. It's a story of second chances. I love the GoFundMe where, that pride didn't allow you to, but then when you did, because you were just, you and your mom were not able to pay the, huge bills, the hospital bills, that you were able to raise more money than you want to even publicly say. So that is incredible. And I think what you call the communitarian approach, when you help others what they want, God will get you what you want or need. That's incredible. And you said that has completely transformed your life. How has that translated into the sales world? Because, you've been on stage with some of the biggest names on the planet. How did you go from, basically from the hospital ward to the highest elevated stages and platforms?
Well, not without the help of a lot of great people in my life. Jason Phillips was the man that he was the owner and founder of NCI, Nutritional Coaching Institute. So like most people in 2020, I got furloughed. I worked for that company for 15 years. I got really angry that I got laid off. It's the first time in my life since I was like 6 years old, and I was working the farm and getting chore money that I didn't have a stable income. And I watched on Netflix a documentary about Tony Robbins called "I'm Not Your Guru." And simultaneously, I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And I looked at my grandmother and my mom. They were both coaches. They were horse trainers in the dressage world. I was like, I just want to coach people. I want to teach people. And then I watched this documentary with Tony Robbins, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I didn't know it then, but I watched him use what's called Socratic questioning and NLP frames to transform this woman's life in front of, like, thousands of people and in front of my own eyes. And so that day, man, I got up, I put up my camera, I got out my little whiteboard. I still go back and I watch the video because I was so awkward. It was so bad. And I just like toughed it out. And I had like this little framework that I was working on called the 6 stages of identity change. And, I posted it. It was like a 10-minute video. And it got some really good reaction. It was really bad. And from there, my nutrition coach at the time, Jeff Black, had this gentleman called Jason Phillips on his podcast. And this gentleman was talking about business coaching, sales, lead generation, lead nurture, systems, processes, offers, increasing LTV. And I was like, wow, this dude speaks like me. He is interested in the same things I am. And lo and behold, the next week he was having during COVID shutdowns, was having a seminar and a conference for nutrition business coaching in Nashville. And so I went to that, and I'd never been to anything like this before in my life. And I sat in the front row, and it was a 3-day event, and I took like 50 pages of notes.
Whoa.
Right? And I'm the guy in the front asking all the questions, and I'm like, this guy's going to know me. And I walked out of that conference weekend, and I said 2 things. I'm going to work with this guy, and one day he's going to hire me. And my nutrition coach, thank God, paid Jason $6,000 to coach me for 12 weeks, just over the phone. And Jason was the one that just unraveled my education. And so, long story short, I went home with my 50 pages of notes. I made, I believe it was like 100-page PowerPoint. And then I started learning from Jason. And then I started teaching local gyms, local spas, local wellness centers, like all the stuff that I had learned. And I was always in contact with Jason. Like, dude, this stuff's working. And I think it was 4 months later, he came to Nashville. He's like, hey, let's go to STK, grab a steak dinner. And I was just happy to be with my mentor and eat some steak. And he's like, hey, man, you want to become my sales director? And I didn't even think about it. I quit my job right there and then and took his position. And we went from $300,000 in January of 2021 to our first $1 million month, December of 2021. And then in 2022, we did our first $10 million plus year. And it was gangbusters from there. We were very fortunate to be mentored by Alex and Layla Hermosi. You have his book behind you, $100 Million Offers. And got mentored by Eli Wild, who is Tony Robbins' right-hand sales guy, sold over $100 million at Tony Robbins coaching. Matt Ryder from 7th Level, Jeremy Miner's COO. So just been blessed to be mentored by great people. And for me, and something I also teach my clients, we live in the greatest age of information that there ever is. And one of the greatest lies that's being sold to people is that information is power. And that is a lie. Information is not power. Knowledge applied is power. All learning should lead to action. And anytime I learn something, I take action on it. I implement it. I test it. And I get feedback. I might fail, but I'm not failing. I'm actually getting feedback and I'm becoming better. And so anytime you learn something, it should be like a blow. It should be like, whoa, dude, that was crazy. And then like you should instantaneously take action on that. And that's one of the things that I learned from Jason and Hermosi's is like speed over perfection in your business, sales as an entrepreneur, like not paralysis by analysis, just take action and use speed and create momentum.
Wow. I'm just kind of pausing because there's so much that you're sharing that I'm just soaking in. And I agree with, that massive imperfect action, that knowledge applied is power versus information, which is a lie. I know that we don't have a lot of time, so I want to segue into some, areas of expertise and some practical advice and or tips. One of your topics of expertise of many is converting more cold leads using strategic questions. And I'm finding that there's a lot of entrepreneurs that I'm in talks with that have, tens of thousands of cold leads or dusty lists or communities that are inactive or paid ads, connections that, people have kind of dropped because they're waiting for the warm to hot leads. How do you convert more cold leads using strategic questions?
Well, there are strategic questions that are happening on the sales call, but more so what I'm teaching my clients on the front end, like from what I've gathered from really high level online marketing people in 2024, cold to convert could be up to 4 to 6 months. Back in 2020, you could sell a $5,000 PIF in the DMs and you just met the person, right? In 2023, we learned that it was like 7 to 8 hours of content consumed to convert from cold to closed. So what I work with my clients on doing is, one, when they're posting, and I'm not like a content like strategist, but I know this is like, you should always be sharing your client wins 3-4 times a week on your stories. You should be sharing client wins, whether that's before and afters of their body, before and afters of their bank accounts, screenshots of coaching, little clips from your Zoom, like whatever. You need to have massive social proof and trust. You have to build what I call KLT, know, like, and trust. And you're trying to do that and activate your top of funnel to move them middle of funnel as quickly as possible. And the next thing is, what I help my clients implement is a like rock solid pre-call guide. All right. This pre-call guide, I have templates for them, but it builds massive know, like, and trust. It legitimizes the business in the eyes of the leads and the prospect. And we have to, now that's my cold to close script, but my, my pre-call guide, one of the problems is that you have to take yourself out of the space of Instagram and TikTok coach, right? If you're selling a high ticket offer, you're asking Louis Vuitton prices. You can't ask Louis Vuitton prices and look like Ross Dress for Less. So like I have my clients take high quality video, high quality video or photographs, high quality products, Fiverr, or pay someone that's an expert to make your branding, your graphics, everything that happens before the sale. To me, this was important to me in my ideology. It needs to reflect the price point that you're asking. All right. And then we're just trying to build massive rapport on the beginning of the call. I teach Jeremy Miner's Neutralize the Frame, right? We're still pre-framing, but we're not hard pre-framing. We're not getting on the call and sounding like every other salesperson in the world, which puts them into fight or flight. It closes them. Remember, you can't close a closed door. The door has to be open, and then you have to close them. In the introduction, you have to get them to open up to you, the lead and prospect, and then you can close them. If you remind them of their past failures and past horrible examples of being on a sales call, then they clam up, you get surface level answers, they can't access the creative part of their brain, and then you're going to get smoke screen objections. Now, when it comes to asking questions, I teach something called the 10 gems of sales, and this is in the qualification phase. You have to get clarity of pain. And when we dig into pain, you have to be in a mindset of a world-class doctor. You have to get duration of pain, impact of pain, the root cause of the pain, and help them feel the pain. From there, you got to get what are the obstacles that are preventing them from solving this on their own, clarity of support system, clarity of doubt, timing, finances, coachability, possibility, and then before you pitch, you have to leverage cost of inaction. And so one of the ways that we prevent objections from happening is not by just asking the right questions in a qualification phase, or what I call the engagement phase, but it's also asking them in the right tonality, in the right speaking cadence. The point of every question that you ask in a sales process is to hit an emotional target. And you get that question to hit the emotional target by matching it with the right tonality. When you say frustrated, Miss Jones, how do you mean exactly? Right? John, what are you doing now in order to generate more leads? John, how do I say this without offending you? You might be making a mistake by working with an in-person trainer. Right? So like we have to get the tonalities to match. The other thing, key concept here is any obstacles that go unclear during the qualification or engagement stage, those become objections. So if you constantly get, I need to think about it, objections, one, you're not building enough value in the sales process or your pitch, but two, you need to ask a rationale question and get how they think about it. So John, can you confuse tonality? John, can you kind of explain to me the rationale behind wanting to work with an online nutrition coach instead of doing what you're doing now? Right. And so now I get their rationale and how they think about it. So now they can't use that as a scapegoat or a smokescreen at the end of the call. You know, a lot of people will come to me and they're like, Nick, I just got a spousal objection. I get spousal objections all the time. And I go, what was the husband's name? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe that's the problem. You got zero clarity around their support system and their significant other. It's not, does your husband support you? Yeah. First of all, never ask that question. And if you're in the coaching space and you ask, does your husband support you? And that woman or man or whomever says no, they don't need your coaching. They need a relationship coach, right? And maybe you are a relationship coach and you are in the perfect conversation. For the majority of us, they don't need a fit pro or nutrition coach. They need a relationship coach, because what man isn't supporting and providing for his significant other? Like, that's what we're hardwired to do, right? And so more so is like, who's supporting you on this journey to lose the 30 to 40 pounds that you said you've been struggling to lose, in your own words? Oh, my husband. Oh, what's your husband's name? John. Oh, how does John feel about you being in the best health and shape of your life so you can be around to play with your granddaughters? Like, how does John feel about that? That's a completely different question than, is your husband supportive? Is your wife supportive? And now we can get clarity using Socratic questioning to really dive into that. So again, it can't be used as a smokescreen.
Wow. What a masterclass right there. That was incredible. I love the way you shared the examples, the way that you broke down, the role play, the way that you use a specific scenario that many of us and our audience goes through with time, with talking to a spouse or a business partner, or I need to think about it. Those are amazing, practical sales tips. And I also promised you that we would get your gift of time back. I don't know if you have any links that we can put in. Is there, I know in the printout that I printed out, the 17-page cold to close script, there were templates and there was an actually free sales assessment, but I couldn't actually get that link. So if you're able to send me a link, we can get people to book a call with you if they want the sales assessment, and or if they want the free, not the free, but the Canva templates for the pre-call guide for $27, correct?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's the link in my Instagram bio is probably the easiest way to find me. And that's just Nick Ross Sells, NickRosssells. You can also go directly to the hyperlink. That's cold2closed.circlethew.com. And you can pick up the script there by just entering in, I believe, your name and phone number.
Well, thank you so much, Nick, for your time. And thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable with your, childhood trauma, and the way that you said it's not to me, but it's for you. Love your heart, love the inspiration that you bring. And I love that God or the universe is giving you that second chance. Yes. And you're not taking that lightly.
Not at all. No, every day you wake up, you're winning, baby.
Any last words for people who are struggling out there, who are fighting cancer, who are thinking about, giving up on their business, who are, ready to, exit in high ticket sales, that you want to inspire them with?
Yeah. I think it's important to not tie, if we talk for sales, for instance, don't tie your sales skill sets. Don't tie your sales confidence into your sales skill sets. Do not do that. Tie your confidence into your intention. If your intention is pure, then the consequences don't matter. And that means you're aligned in your thoughts, words, actions, but most importantly, what everyone forgets, you have to be aligned in your heart. Again, if your intentions are pure to impact the life of the human being that you're talking to, if they ghost you, if they object, if they don't buy, if they ghost on a follow-up, it doesn't matter, because your intentions are pure to impact a life. And that should always be your intention. Don't be showing up with rent is due energy, commission breath, and desperation. Every woman will tell you that that desperation is the stinkiest cologne there is, right? So always go back to your intention. Don't allow failures to rip through your hierarchy of self-worth, okay? When your roof is leaking, you don't tear up the whole house and the foundation to repair it. You simply put on a new shingle. Okay? So the old saying is, don't allow a single mistake, or you didn't close, or you failed to rip through your hierarchy of sense of worth. Just don't allow you to do it. Always go back to your intention.
Wow. I am blown away, brother. Thank you so much again, so much for your time, Nick, and for your expertise and your heart. I love the intention of the heart being pure. Guys, go to download the Cold to Close script. We'll put the links in the comments, and go to Nick's Instagram bio. And I really want to encourage you guys, as we leave on this note, to really put those pure intentions into place into your sales process. And our goal and our vision is to help you to sell more, to give more, to break that generational poverty, and to help you fund projects that are near and dear to your heart. So on that note, we're here to help you to sell more, to give more. Comment podcast in the comments if you want to join the Sales Ninja Show podcast. And again, Nick, thank you so much for your time. Until next time, have a great day.
Bye.